The European Union just made a catastrophic mistake. They just ignited a war they can't possibly win. They launched the first strike, and now both the Trump administration and Elon Musk are together firing back, and nothing less than the future of the EU is at stake. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world, particularly Europe. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The European Commission, led by ultra-globalist liberals, just announced that they are fining Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter, 120 million euros for violating their Digital Services Act, which is the EU's sweeping new law designed to regulate the internet, big tech, and censor populist voices. They say X's blue check mark is deceptive, that their advertising database lacks transparency, and that researchers can't access public data, yada, yada, yada. But here's the truth. Here's what's really happening. X is now the number one news app in every single European Union country. Every single one. Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany. We could go on and on and on. All 27 EU nations now get their news from X more than any other platform. And of course, what that therefore means is that every day, tens of millions of Europeans are bypassing the EU's propaganda machine and getting unfiltered news directly from X. The European Commission can't control the narrative anymore. And that's why they're panicking. And for good reason. I mean, take a look at the latest polls coming out of Germany. The German Patriot Party, their MAGA party, it's known as the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, they're polling in first place with 26% of the vote. They're consistently polling above the CDU, the Christian Democrat Union, which was Angela Merkel's party. That's the party that's been in power virtually every single decade since the end of the war. The Nationalist Populist AfD is so popular that German authorities are actively attempting to ban the party. I kid you not. German lawmakers have been using what they call extremist classification and domestic intelligence operations to try to get the AfD completely banned from German politics. And as it turns out, that's the standard. That's the default playbook for the bullies in Brussels as well. It's no coincidence that populist parties are surging all throughout the continent at the same time. X is the single most popular source for news among Europeans. The two go hand in hand. The rise of alt media and alt politics, as we see with the alt for Germany, right? The AfD, they are reciprocal risings. And so the very same suppressive tactics we're seeing in Berlin are being duplicated by the bullies in Brussels with this punitive fine. And the Trump administration, they aren't having any of it. Secretary of State Marco Rubio did not hold back. He posted on X, quote, "The European Commission's $140 million fine isn't just an attack on X, it's an attack on all American tech platforms and the American people by foreign governments. The days of censoring Americans online are over." And then the Trump administration did something unprecedented. Within 24 hours, the State Department issued a directive to every U.S. embassy and consulate worldwide. I kid you not, this is stunning. Deny visas to anyone who works in fact-checking capacities, content moderation, trust and safety, or combating misinformation, that quote-unquote misinformation. That's right. I mean, if you've ever worked to censor speech online, you are now officially banned from entering the United States. I mean, this is huge. The directive specifically targets H-1B visa applicants and instructs consular officers to examine LinkedIn profiles, work histories, and media mentions for evidence of censorship activities. A State Department spokesperson was crystal clear. We do not support aliens coming to the United States to work as censors, muzzling Americans. And that's nothing. And I mean nothing compared to Elon Musk's response. Elon has officially gone full nuclear on the EU. And what came next is going to absolutely blow you away. While Trump unleashes a political reckoning, there is another crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form, even in the comfort of our own homes. I'm talking about the microplastic epidemic. Now, you may have heard about this, but this is pretty shocking stuff. Check this out.
White ones, we've got clear ones.
Tons of microplastics wash ashore all over the world every day. And now for the first time, scientists in the Netherlands have detected microplastic pollution in human blood.
All the microplastics and nanoplastics we are exposed to, we inhale and we ingest, that actually, there's so much plastic that it can even enter our bloodstream.
The Dutch study on blood samples from healthy adults detected tiny plastic particles in 80% of people.
That's right. There's a microplastic crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form. They're in our food, our water, our meats, our proteins. In fact, according to a recent study, we now ingest 6 times more microplastics than in 1990. It's wreaking havoc on our health and on our organ functions. And unfortunately, no one is immune from this. But there is an amazing solution. There's a unique bacterial strain found only in kimchi that's been found to effectively degrade microplastics. In fact, traditional kimchi is one of the world's most powerful superfoods. But let's be honest, it's messy, it's strong smelling, and not exactly easy to eat every single day. So that's why our good friends over at Brightcore created Kimchi One. Now you can get all the benefits of premium fermented kimchi in convenient capsule form. No mess, no taste, no hassle. I've been taking Kimchi One every single day for months now, and gang, I love it. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants that help restore balance in your gut. People are seeing improvements in digestion, bloating, regularity, energy, metabolism. Studies show that kimchi even reduces the risk of obesity. Kimchi One is all natural, non-GMO, and 100% made right here in the USA. It's completely dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, so just anyone could take it. I personally love it, and I love knowing that I'm supporting my gut and overall health in one simple step. So if you've been looking for a way to boost your immune system and remove microplastic toxins from your body, this is it. You can get 25% off your order by going to the link below, or for an even better deal, give them a call. My friends at Brightcore would love to chat with you, and they're going to give you 50% off plus free shipping. Call them at 888-597-0233. The first 100 callers to order are going to get a free bottle of vitamin D3. Again, you only get that 50% off and free shipping when you give them a call. So once again, that number is 888-597-0233. Elon Musk is officially calling for the end of the EU. He wants the globalist monstrosity in Brussels to be abolished. Quote, the EU should be abolished and sovereignty returned to individual countries so that governments can better represent their people. When someone reposted his comment, Musk doubled down, tweeting out, I mean it. How long before the EU is gone? And so as a result, abolish the EU is now trending worldwide on X. It's absolutely glorious. And X isn't backing down. After the EU Commission posted about the fine on their own X account, X's head of product, Nikita Beer, accused them of exploiting a loophole in the advertising system on X. And they turned around and they deactivated the European Commission's ad account entirely. Beer wrote, quote, "It appears you think the regulations do not apply to your account." And he accused them of logging into a dormant ad account and fiddling with their algorithmic reach, which is a violation of X's terms of service. And so he said, the EU, your advertising account has now officially been deactivated. I mean, this is the very definition of revenge is best served cold. Now, as I alluded to earlier, we all know what's really going on here. I mean, the European Commission could claim all they want that this 120 million euro fine is in response to X violating their laws. But here's the catch. This is what's so interesting. The fine could have been significantly more. The fine could have been up to 6% of X's global annual revenue. Under the Digital Services Act, the European Commission has the authority to impose fines as high as 6% of worldwide turnover, which, if applied across all of Musk's companies, including SpaceX, that could have been literally hundreds of billions of dollars. Instead, they fined X the equivalent of 140 million USD. A fraction of what they could have demanded. So the question is why? Why did they do that? Well, the answer again is simple. Because they knew a larger fine would trigger an all-out war with Washington. Now, if you don't know, something just happened this week, that just a couple of days back, that has the bullies in Brussels absolutely panicked. On December 4th, the Trump administration released its new national security strategy. It is a stunningly bold strategy that officially establishes the Western Hemisphere as America's #1 foreign policy priority. It puts a decisive end to any and all endless foreign wars. Those are over. However, in the document, they describe Europe as facing, quote, civilizational erasure due to immigration, declining birth rates, and loss of national identity. The strategy explicitly stated we want Europe to remain European, to regain its civilizational self-confidence, and to abandon its failed focus on regulatory suffocation. The document called for the United States to cultivate resistance within European nations and praised the rise of what they called, quote, patriotic parties all across the continent, which is code for supporting Europe's conservative and nationalist populist movements against Brussels' globalist agenda. I mean, this is stunning stuff. This is about as close as the United States can possibly get to saying that the EU needs to be dismantled. This is not just about a fine, gang. The European Union has spent years weaponizing regulations to target American tech companies while European competitors fail to innovate. Apple and Meta have already paid hundreds of millions in EU penalties. Now Brussels is escalating enforcement with ongoing investigations into X, into TikTok. Trump officials are calling the Digital Services Act a disguised tariff on American innovation. And they're right. Europe can't compete, so they regulate. They can't build their own platforms, so they fine ours. Again, this isn't the continent. This isn't the individual countries. This is Brussels. These are the bullies in Brussels, the European Commission. But the Trump administration just sent an unmistakable message. Attack American companies, and we will respond, and we'll respond hard. The visa ban targets the very people enforcing this censorship regime. The new national security strategy is bolstering Europe's so-called far right, just basically their patriot parties, their common sense parties, to take down the bullies in Brussels once and for all. And it looks like the #1 most popular news source on the continent is leading the fight to do just that. The European Commission knows it's losing control. That's why they're lashing out. Fining X, fining Viktor Orban's Hungary, backing bans of political parties. But Elon Musk isn't backing down. The Trump administration isn't backing down. And 230 million X users worldwide aren't backing down. The European Union just picked a fight they can't win. It's a fight ultimately with their own continent. And my money is on the European patriots who are rising up and taking their continent back.